Everyone is talking about the Iran-US war, but very few actually know how it began, why it exploded now, and which countries are silently shaping the battlefield. Today, we break it all down, clearly, simply, and without propaganda. The world saw the war erupt in 2025-2026. The roots go back over 70 years. The tension began with the 1953 CIA-backed coup in Iran, which overthrew Iran's elected prime minister and installed a pro-US Shah. This single event planted decades of distrust. Then came the 1979 Iranian Revolution, the U.S. Embassy hostage crisis, and the complete collapse of diplomatic relations. Since 1980, the two countries have had no formal ties, making this one of the longest diplomatic ruptures in modern history. Over the decades, the conflict grew through proxy wars, sanctions, oil disputes, and nuclear tensions. But the real spark for the current war came when the U.S. launched direct strikes on Iranian soil, the first since 1979, escalating the situation beyond diplomacy. In 2026, the US and Israel carried out a major attack that killed Iran's supreme leader, pushing the region into full-scale conflict. Three major reasons pushed the conflict from cold to hot: nuclear program, Iran's push for nuclear capability, and the collapse of the nuclear deal increased global alarm. Oil power. Iran controls access to the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for 20% of the world's oil. Any instability threatens global markets. Regional influence. Iran's support for proxy groups across the Middle East clashed with US and allied interests. Three major reasons pushed the conflict from cold to hot: nuclear program, Iran's push for nuclear capability, and the collapse of the nuclear deal increased global alarm. Oil power. Iran controls access to the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for 20% of the world's oil. Any instability threatens global markets. Regional influence. Iran's support for proxy groups across the Middle East clashed with US and allied interests. Who is involved? Who is neutral? Who is helping who? Red Square countries in direct conflict. United States, leading military operations against Iran. Iran, retaliating through direct strikes and regional proxies. Israel, partnered with the US in major strikes, including the 2026 attack. Orange Square countries indirectly involved, proxy or strategic support, Saudi Arabia and Gulf states, historically aligned with US interests, wary of Iran's regional influence. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon host Iranian-backed militias and become battlegrounds for proxy clashes. Russia, politically supportive of Iran, opposing US influence in the region. China, economically tied to Iran, pushing for stability but opposing US dominance. Green Square countries trying to stay neutral. European Union, publicly calling for de-escalation, split between diplomacy and US alignment. Turkey, balancing between NATO obligations and regional interests. India, maintaining neutrality due to energy dependence and strategic ties with both sides. Switzerland, historically hosts indirect US-Iran communication channels. Blue Square countries pushing for peace. United Nations members calling for ceasefire and humanitarian corridors. Qatar and Oman, often act as mediators in Middle East disputes. What this war means for the world. This conflict isn't just about two nations. It affects global oil prices, shipping routes, regional stability, and the risk of a wider international war. With nuclear tensions rising and alliances shifting, the world is watching every move.